What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is OG. If you've been following along, I appreciate your support. Now, today is a monumental day for all FC players and really all football gamers. I say that because I've played UFL, I've played eFootball, and while they do some things well, some things even better than FC, especially eFootball, for the most part, FC reigns superior, and that's why they're still the #1 football game. Therefore, because of the direction the development companies, Strikers, and Konami are taking both UFL and eFootball respectively, I know that if FC does things right, they can get an influx of players either stolen away from those games or back from those games that they've lost over the years. Sometimes not because those games were better, but just due to the fact that a lot of players grew a deep hatred for EA Sports, and rightfully so. Therefore, for the first time in years when they dropped this trailer, and it starts off looking like the same old movie, but then they hit us with the "we hear you," with the entire theme being around, we know the player base is unhappy and we are going to address the issues you have, and popping up all kinds of issues that, whether they were true comments, right, they did it in the form of social media posts, whether they were true comments from players or just feedback that they put into comments, either way, the issues that they were posting all over the screen were absolutely issues that we want to see addressed. So right then and there, they get everyone's attention. But after years of ignoring us, like, we're not dumb enough to think they couldn't hear us. They're a huge company. There's no doubt they had their finger on the pulse of the game. But from our end, all we heard from EA Sports was crickets. Therefore, just a trailer where they say, hey, we're going to listen to you, it's not going to be good enough. But today, with the gameplay deep dive, we get to call their bluff. We get to see if they honestly are addressing all these issues they brought up in the trailer, or if it was just nonsense to get players back, in their good graces. Drawing everyone's attention to the next iteration of the game, hoping that everyone will just pre-order and forget about all the nonsense. Now, you would think a company as large and successful as EA Sports wouldn't be so dumb to feel like they could pull one over on us like that, where they just say all this stuff and don't truly address it. However, EA Sports has definitely done some dumb things. That's what scares me. Here's my train of thought, though. FC25 was a complete disaster. Players were more discontent than ever, even leaving the game when typically we would all complain, but we'd stay, right? So EA Sports even publicly talked about how bad the numbers were compared to previous years. Therefore, EA Sports releases the biggest patch they've ever released since they started releasing patches for the games, right? They haven't always done that, as we know. And since they started to release the biggest patch mid-game, right, where they've already taken everyone's money. Yes, there's still microtransactions, but not enough money on the table to warrant such a huge overhaul of a game that's already been out, right? Usually they would wait till the next year. However, because of this, because of the disaster FC25 was, I truly believe that they will follow through with what they're saying. I don't think they would bring up all these fixes and announce it in a trailer that everybody's watching. They didn't just throw it in there. I don't think that they would be so dumb, even though they've shown to be the dumbest, super successful company ever. I don't think they would be this dumb to say all these things and not address all these issues. So today we actually find out with the gameplay deep dive. Now, another thing that a lot of people aren't talking about, which I'm surprised at, is the delay, the inconsistent gameplay, which they released pitch notes on. I watched Inception's breakdown, and my biggest concern was they didn't really specifically speak on fixing the issue. They talked about addressing the issue and what they did, and they actually gave a lot of information, but to me it read like a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of filler talk. However, once again, I can only be hopeful that they wouldn't bring this to the forefront after ignoring this issue for years if they didn't finally have a way to fix it or at least improve it. Now, I want to stress how important this element of improvements is, right? They could fix every single issue they laid across the screen in the initial FC26 trailer, and obviously the game would be so much better. It could be the best game in the history of the franchise. Everyone loves it. However, the vast majority of us, because I'm included in this, that are deeply affected by the inconsistent gameplay, right? I always called it laggy gameplay or delayed gameplay because that's what it feels like on the pitch. But whatever you want to call it, if EA Sports doesn't at least improve this issue, a vast majority of us will not be able to enjoy the game no matter how good it is. So, I'm no doubt excited for the deep dive into the gameplay for FC26, but more so for the sincerity, right? I want to see if they truly addressed all these issues that were laid out across the screen in the initial trailer. If they are sincere and they truly addressed all these issues, that gives us a better chance that they truly addressed what they talked about in the pitch notes. Again, we can only hope they wouldn't bring all these things to the forefront if they weren't truly going to address them, because players would just see this, hold them to it, see that they were BSing us, and then leave or never buy the game again, and it would be another FC25 disaster all over again. Obviously, EA Sports doesn't want that. If they truly didn't care, which they hadn't until this year, they wouldn't have released such a huge patch for FC25. Also, if they didn't care, they wouldn't have laid out the initial trailer like they did. They could have still said, hey, we know you want gameplay, and showed us gameplay without laying out a ton of different issues from the player base and saying they were going to address them and fix them, right? They wouldn't have released pitch notes on the inconsistent gameplay if they didn't want players like myself honing in on this issue and seeing what exactly they were going to do to fix it, turning on the game as soon as I get it and testing if they truly fix the issue or not. Because, again, we would all just be gone after that. Now, I have no idea if every player has this issue as bad as I have it, as much as I have it. I know there's other players out there for sure that have it worse even, but I don't know the number. I don't know the percentage. Why that matters is because if EA Sports doesn't feel like they will be impacted enough by it, they won't put as much effort into fixing this issue. This is where, since they brought it up, I have to be hopeful that enough players are saying, I'm done if this isn't fixed, that they said, okay, let's put some energy into it. Let's actually fix this, right? Maybe for the years past, it wasn't that bad, but it keeps getting worse. I'm not sure. I can tell you that this isn't the first year I've dealt with it. It's been pretty consistently bad since 2022, but I can also tell you that recent gameplay in FC, because remember, this year I've played UFL and eFootball. I haven't just played FC like the past, but recently playing FC has been terrible. I can tell you I dabbled in different time frames of playing nonstop FC, right? Even after the initial release. I went to another football game, came back. Went to another football game, came back. Never was the terrible lag, the delay, all of that as bad as it is now. For every good game I have, I get 4 bad games. Literally, 1 out of 5 games is a game that is playable. The other 4, you can't even move. You might as well just quit the game. So, with those stats, obviously if it stayed the same or if it kept coming in clusters, that's just not fun at all. If you know, no matter how much fun you're having in the game, no matter how good the game is, that you're going to have these periods come up where 1 good game out of every 5 is what to expect, it's just not worth playing. It's not worth the hassle, the headache. No way. So, again, this is a huge day. And then after that, we have to see, will they announce anything about the inconsistent gameplay today, or will that be another thing for the future? Or were those pitch notes all we're going to see, and we just have to trust that the issues are fixed and tested when the game comes out? Let's hope they give us more information. Let's go out on a limb and even hope that they throw something about this inconsistent gameplay and what they're doing to fix it, like they talked about in the pitch notes. Let's hope they talk about it a little bit in the gameplay deep dive or something similar. That would be incredible. But for now, we just have to get excited that step 1 goes through, which is EA Sports actually addressing and improving on the areas in which they brought up in the initial reveal. Only time will tell, but we're down to just hours away. So let me know in the comments section what you think is to come. As always, keep grinding, keep having fun. Make sure, if you haven't already, you like this video. If you liked it, of course, you subscribe to the channel, and you join our Discord. The link is in my YouTube bio. See you on the next one. Peace out.